You're welcome back. This is Newsfile. It's your most authoritative news analysis platform. And here on Newsfile, we put Ghana first. And here is Samsons Take. Kuan Yew, make our system clean. Thomas Hobbes, examining the natural conditions of man in the Leviathan, conceives a concession that, quote, where there is no common power, there is no law, end quote. And that when we give power or rights to someone, it is a voluntary act, the object of which is some good, the benefits that we legitimately expect in return. This is the covenant or contract we enter with our leaders at various levels. And we expect that they will not breach it by doing what does not benefit us as a society. He postulates, I'm talking about Thomas Hobbes, that, quote, the multitude so united in one person is called a commonwealth, or in Latin, civitas. The mortal God, that's what we make our presidents and our leaders, the mortal God to which we owe under the immortal God our defense, our peace and defense, end quote. Cicero, the Roman philosopher, defines this as a political community, sovereign and independent. Now, here's the bottom line of all of this philosophy. We entrust political power, our sovereign will, to empower leaders to whom we may become subjects, so that they may use our collective means, strength, and power to secure our greatest good, a good life. Dear leaders, do not lose sense of the purpose of the power we donate to you. Kuan Yew, a man of integrity and a visionary leader, used this position of power to create a decent and meritocratic society. He transformed a basket case of a third world into first world status in 30 years. Yes, that's possible in our democracy, even better. Yes, that was a country written off by commentators, and Ghana was well ahead of Singapore in economic development. There is no need brooding over the lost decades of corrupt leadership in this IMF Ghana. The ultimate, that the good society, is still possible if we as individuals and a collective do the right things and insist on clean leaders. I mean clean leaders. Not where we yearn to elect people we know are very corrupt and dirty. People whose source of wealth we do not know, and we know it's not from right sources. If we insist on clean leaders, those are leaders who will make our system clean, a meritocratic society where we live in decency. In Singapore today, politics is not about the insult fest that we are treated to in this Ghana. Poor IMF Ghana. It's not about the mundane, the lies and the vain promises of one this, one that. Political campaign is still run on ideas with a focus on character, leadership of integrity, because that is what guarantees progress.
They have to be honest. The politics have to be honest. The people have to be clean and honest also. If you are not honest, if you are not clean, if you have a black mark, whether people know it or not, please stay out of politics. And so we need honest politicians, and we also need voters who can tell the difference between people who are honest and people who are not. And I was very, very surprised yesterday that here on this spot yesterday to hear Dr. Chee Soon Juan say, reputation is temporary, but character is permanent. I agree. I think Dr. Chee has every reason to know that character is permanent. Doesn't change. We cannot have corruption in Singapore. We cannot have wrongdoing in the government or in high places in Singapore. That's why we have the CPIB reporting to me as PM, and if I don't give approval to the CPIB to investigate somebody, the CPIB can go to the President and ask the President for approval. President says yes, CPIB can proceed against the PM. That's why we have the Auditor General's office to keep the government straight, to keep our statutory board straight, and once in a while to find out whether the town councils are straight or not straight. These are the PAP standards, and these also have to be the opposition standards. Just because you don't wear white doesn't mean you shouldn't be white or needn't be white. That's what is different about Singapore. I can show it to other people. Can they do it? Not so easy. That's what we must always keep precious in Singapore. So maybe that is why when Mr. Lee Kuan Yew had his 90th birthday, we had a little celebration in Parliament. And he was too weak to make a speech, but he came, he joined us in the members' room. We made a birthday cake, we sang a song, blew the candles, and he made a small speech. He talked about only one thing. He said, remember, keep our system clean. And I should note that was not just PAP MPs having a celebration. That was all of the MPs having a celebration, including the opposition MPs. So the PAP MPs took note of what he said. I hope the opposition MPs also took note of what he said. Keep our system clean. You may be running the government. You may be running a ministry. You can be in a stat board. You can be in a town council. Doesn't matter. Whatever level you are, uphold high standards, keep it clean. And don't say, I didn't go to jail, I'm okay.
The British High Commissioner, Harriet Thompson, talks about what we know just too well. That, quote, corruption is one of the things holding Ghana back. If all the money that comes into Ghana were used for the purpose of which it was intended, Ghana would be making faster progress, end quote. In Singapore, Galamsey will not survive. You know why? It is those truly behind it and not those hungry hirelings that will be jailed. That's the standard there. Those high up are those who get jailed for the corruption that they engineer. If you are a civil servant, do what is right and insist on right. You may be alone, do it. If you are a judge, do justice according to law, justice without ill will or affection, fear or favor. That's the oath you take. And yes, if you're a journalist, like I do, and many in this country look up to the media to help make things right, do not owe a politician, my dear friends in this fraternity, do not owe a politician, however poorly you are paid. If you are paid by a politician, you are simply not worthy to represent the people, because that's what journalism is about. And you cannot do the Article 162 serious job of being free at all times to uphold the principles, provisions, and objectives of the Constitution, and to uphold the responsibility and accountability of the government to the people of Ghana. You just can't do it. Those of you who are being paid by politicians, you know you can't do it. You sold your soul. You are not worthy. Aristotle notes in the Nicomachean Ethics that, quote, wealth is not the good which we are trying to find, for it is only useful. That is, it is a means to something else, end quote. Think about it. And that is my take. We'll be right back to canvass the very critical issues we have tabled for you today. This is a discussion that we should have been having about 3 decades, 6 decades ago. Importing these things, toothpick, how proud the country we are. Today, 2023, is when we are thinking of banning these. Okay, we'll be right back.